Hi friend, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name is Holly and today we are going to be doing some much needed preserving in the kitchen. We had a Azure Standard order come in and we needed to get this stuff all preserved. So that you don't have to watch 2 hours of me pitting cherries, I am going to go ahead and just catch up to what's been going on so far. So I have pitted 5 pounds of Rainier cherries and I am getting my electric canner ready to go, and I am getting the jars and the lids and the bands all ready to go so that when I'm ready to can these, they are already ready and waiting for me. These jars I ran through the dishwasher, and then they were clean, and I put them in the box that they came in, that you can order. You can pick up and purchase your jars in. They come in the 12-pack containers. And so I always just save those boxes, and then whenever I wash them, I put them upside down in those to store them, and that helps me move them up and down from the downstairs storage room that I keep them in. So what you're seeing right now is that I'm making a light syrup on the stove. I'm using a 1/4 cup of sugar and 6.5 cups of water. I'm gonna let that come to a boil and then let it simmer after all of the sugar is dissolved, and then that's gonna stay nice and hot for me to pour over the cherries. So this is the electric canner. The lines that I just pointed to, the bottom one is for pressure canning, and then the top one is for water bath. That's how much you need to fill it. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get this filled, and I'm going to add the jars in and get it ready and waiting for us. Okay, so I absolutely love my digital canner. You can either do pressure can or water bath. So what you're going to do is turn the dial. For this, we're going to be doing water bath for 15 minutes. So you're going to select boiling water bath, and then we're going to select 15 minutes because that's the processing time. And then it's going to tell us to insert jars, which we already did, and then it's going to warm it up. So we're going to put the lid on this and let it warm up, and then it's just going to beep every step of the way and tell us what to do. So easy. And in the meantime, we have our light syrup boiling. We have all of our cherries ready to go. We have our cans getting warm in there, and we're ready to get this thing going. Okay, here we go. Let's get ready to can some cherries. I'm so excited to have this on my shelf. Okay, so our canner says fill jars. Easy peasy. Ignore that drawer. So we're gonna take hot jars. Do 2 at a time. We're gonna take a funnel. We're gonna not burn ourselves. We're gonna go to 1/2 inch headspace. Well, when you see on these jars, the rings and stuff. So the bottom ring is about 1 inch. The middle twist part would be about 1/2 inch, and then so generally speaking, pressure canning always does 1 inch, and then water bath canning for jams, jellies, fruit, that kind of stuff, or pickles, usually 1/2 inch headspace. So we're gonna go to 1/2 inch headspace, and then we'll go to the next one. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of our light syrup in the bottom of the jar. Okay, and then we'll just keep on going. We'll get these all filled up, this load, and loaded into the canner. So let me show you what we do after we fill it. So after we fill it, we actually take, you can use a chopstick, you can use anything that's plastic because you don't want to scratch the inside of the jar. So I usually take this little fruit filler thingy that I have, and you just go down around the side of the jars and debubble so you get all the little air pockets out. And sometimes you have to add a little more liquid after you do that. With these, I kind of overfilled by just a little bit with the liquid. So this will actually make it go down to about a 1/2 inch headspace, which is exactly what we want. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some white vinegar. I have some white vinegar in this bowl right here, and we're just gonna wipe the rim to get all the sticky stuff off, since we are using syrup with these cherries. And then you're gonna put on clean lid, clean band. You need to go finger tight, and then you're gonna put it back in the canner while you get the rest of them ready. So I'm just gonna keep going. We're gonna get all these ready, and I'll show you what it looks like. So friend, I think besides the fact that you get these awesome products that you literally can't buy at the store for the price that you can make it at home and the quality and all that stuff, I think besides the satisfaction of that, there's also the rhythm of doing projects like this that are kind of just good for the soul. Like, this is my relaxation between gardening and preserving. This is just kind of like my Zen spa moment. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this too. Okay, so it beeped at us to fill the jars. We did that. And now it's going to heat up. Pressure can, it's going to heat up, and then it's going to start the countdown when it's canning, when it's reached the right temperature for 15 minutes. And then it will beep and tell us that it's cooling down for 5 minutes. And then it'll tell us that it's all done, and we'll be able to open it and put them there to dry. So easy peasy with this electric canner. Okay, so I am running low on the light syrup, so I'm just going to go ahead and make another small batch. You just need 3/4 cup of sugar, your sugar of your choice. I'm using organic cane sugar, but you can use whatever you have on hand. So I'm going to do 3/4 cup of this and 6.5 cups of water. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, let it simmer to stay hot, and then use it for the second batch of our cherries. And if any of you guys saw our Azure Standard haul, you know that I just got another 25-pound bag of sugar, and it's in the deep freezer, killing all the creepy crawlies. So we'll be able to refill that pretty soon. And now we wait for the machine to beep at us so we can get the next round going. It just beeped, and now it's going to do the 5-minute cool, and then we'll be able to open it and load it back again with the next ones. Okay, got about 1 minute left on that. Got our light syrup ready to go. lid off so we don't burn ourselves. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm going to put a little bit in the bottom of the first few while I'm waiting for the canner to beep at us. There it goes. All right, let me get this off. Wow, these look great. Put them there to dry. Ooh, a little bit of oozing on that one. Might have overfilled some of these. It happens. It happens. Not a big deal, but what happens is that sometimes it'll siphon out, so you'll have some sticky liquid in the bottom of your canner, but no big deal. No big deal. Okay, now let me get this out of the way. Okay, so let me gotta move this one out of the sticky liquid. Yeah, definitely had a little bit of siphoning. Happens sometimes. This time I will make sure that I do not overfill. Oh my gosh, my cat. Cuddles, get down. Get down. Oh my gosh. The cat does not need to be in the hot liquid. Let me get this. By the way, I'll get a new drying mat that doesn't have sticky stuff on it. And we will throw this sticky one in the washer so that we don't get sticky stuff all over the counter and have it set in. So, there we go. Much better. And these are gonna sit for 24 hours before we take the rings off. And then we'll take the rings off and we will clean up the jars with some soapy water, and they will be good to go in our pantry for years, but you know, not gonna last that long because it's cherries. Okay, so that is in the washer, and this is ready to go over here. Beautiful. Let's get the rest of these. Woo! That is syrup. We are making a lot of messes today. That is okay. Okay, so let me get friends, if it's not sticky and messy in your kitchen, are you even living at all? Oh my gosh. These jars are hot. I need to not touch them with my fingers. There we go. Okay. This little bit cleaned up, no big deal. and we're ready. Take 3. We'll get this done. Okay. Hopefully with all of our spills out of the way now, let's get this refilled up with a little bit of syrup and filled up. So I like to put a little bit of the light syrup at the bottom of the jars so that it helps not have as many air bubbles when I'm filling. We're still gonna debubble after we top these off, but oops, it's just good to have a little bit of liquid in the bottom when I'm starting. I don't know if we're gonna need all these jars, but that's okay. Better to have too many ready than to not have enough ready and have to go find more and clean them. Maybe. Might be able to have just a handful for some fresh eating. That might be what we do. They're already pitted and ready to go. So good. Okay, just a handful of those left. Again, we're only going to 1/2 inch. I had a little bit of siphoning when I canned this last round, so I'm gonna go a little bit below 1/2 inch probably. Closer to, unless I'm gonna overfill it in one shot. I'm gonna go try to stay closer to 1 inch. No big deal. If you pour too much in, just grab a spoon, put it in the next guy. No big deal. I think for a long time I was kind of nervous to can because I was afraid I would mess it up or something. But you can't really mess this up when you follow the directions, you know? There are amazing tools like the Blue Book of Fall, Blue Book of Canning, and as long as you follow those basic rules for times and temperatures and stuff, nothing to it but to do it at that point. Okay, let's go ahead and debubble. Nice. Now on the last batch, I really kind of pushed them down in there to really fill them. And I think that's why we had just a little bit of siphoning. So not gonna do that this time. There we go. After we debubble, it goes down quite a bit. So we'll make sure that guy's overfilled, but the rest of them, I think, look pretty good. Now we're gonna wipe our rims. Finger tight for all of these, and then we'll go ahead and lay these back in the canner. We're going to make sure that there's an inch of water covering the lids, so a little bit may have evaporated from the last time. So when I get all these jars in, I'll double check to make sure that our liquid level is at the right place. And if it's not, which it's not because I just added the last one, we'll go ahead and top it off. Oh, a little more. There we go. Okay. Lid on. Okay, it's time. Second batch done. Second batch done. Looking beautiful. That one looks like it's siphoning, so I'm going to give it just a minute. Love it. These are going to be so good. I'm excited. I'm excited to taste them. I ate a few of them that were left over, obviously, and a few of them as I was pitting them, and these are really good. I usually get the Bing cherries, but Azure Standard was out of them and they sent these instead. So I'm excited to have these on the shelf, and we're going to keep going with all of our projects. Okay, so since we did the cherries and I'm already in the kitchen and it's already kind of taken up some of the afternoon, why not finish up and do one more canning project? So we're gonna do pickles today, and normally I process my dill pickles in the water bath canner, but I want to try doing a different method where you keep it at 180 degrees for 30 minutes, and that gives you really crunchy pickles. Without using like the pickle crisp and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna try that. We'll see if it works. We'll do a small batch, open it up in 2 weeks, and we'll see if that worked. Again, ignore this drawer. You can't see in this drawer because of vinegar, hopefully. But I need the thermometer. So I need the thermometer, the other things that we need, and I can link this recipe down below that I'm following. But we need our cucumbers that have been soaking in like a salt water solution. You kind of just pick them. So through the week, I've been harvesting them small and then just throwing them in here, and they can sit in the solution for minimum 12 hours up to like a week. So this is a week's worth of cucumbers, and I've got some, what do I have in here? I've got one of the suyo long, which is not a pickling cucumber, but I'm gonna try it because it's got a pretty thick skin. And then I have one of the other kinds that we really like in here as well, which I can't remember the name of it right now, but I will put it across the bottom of the screen when I'm editing. Okay, the other thing we need are water, vinegar, sugar, salt, pickling spices, garlic, mustard seed, and dill. Olivia helped me get some dill from the garden right before we started this. So I've got 8 cups of water going right in here, and I need to add all the rest of the stuff to it to make our pickling solution. So we are going to, our stock pot, 8 cups of water, let's see, 6 cups of vinegar. 6 cups of vinegar. Then we need 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of salt. So we need 1/4 cup of sugar. Yeah, getting down to the last of it before we grab that bag that we got from Azure Standard out of the freezer. So 1/4 cup sugar. Pretty close. And 1/2 cup of salt. I'm actually going to I'll use some pickling salt to use that up. You just don't want to use iodized salt whenever you're doing this, but you can use canning salt, you can use Redmond's real salt, you can use any of that. Half a cup of that. And 1 tablespoon pickling spices. I usually like to add some of these into the bottom of every jar, but we will do it in this one too. So get that going. Okay. It says bring it up to a boil and then start preparing your jars and stuff. So I have my jars over here, a little bit off camera that you can't see, and they are washed and ready to go. I'm using wide mouth pints, and then I have this ready to go with all of my cucumbers in it. And I had put this on top of it to kind of weight the cucumbers down so that they were really in that solution. Okay, let's get them going. So we're going for about that long to fit into our jars. So if they're already a little smaller, that's perfect. I'm gonna do those in half because they're thin. We're trying to replicate the crunch of like a fridge pickle. You know, the ones you get at the grocery store that are always in the fridge. Never on the shelf. That one. We're trying to replicate that. Honey, you can get water. You're okay. We're trying to replicate that. You can get ice too. It's fine. My daughter's refilling her water. So we're trying to replicate that. But also having it be shelf stable. So we're gonna see how this goes. It's a new recipe. The ones that I canned were the water bath. They're just, you know, they're all right. Okay, so in each jar, we're going to put, let's see, 1 clove of garlic. When I do my garlic, I peel it and then I freeze some of them whole and peeled. That way, whenever you want them, they're ready to go. I also dehydrate some and do powders and stuff. I do not have a freeze dryer on the wish list. When I have one of those, I'll probably be slicing and freeze drying them as well. So in every single jar, I don't know how many jars this is gonna make. I think 4. So I'm gonna put garlic in each one, this way, garlic in each one of these. Then I'm going to put, let's see, from this way so you can see. So I'll put garlic in those to get it started. Then I've got some fresh dill from the garden and some mustard seed as well. You can also put whatever you want here. You can put peppercorns, you can put onion, you can put whatever you want. I'm just gonna go dill pickles today. Because again, we're trying to go for that kind. Not measuring. This is about a teaspoon, tablespoonish. Whole mustard seeds. What do you need? Okay. So let's see. Then we also need a little bit of dill seed. You don't have to use dill seed, but again, we had it growing. Might as well use it up. Not just for the caterpillars, because in our garden right now, it's pretty much just like a little incubator for swallowtails, but you can add some of it in here too. Let's see. Okay, so we've got garlic, dill, and mustard seed in each one, and then I'm just going to start filling these with our slices, making sure that they are down deep enough. And you want to really fill these jars when you're doing pickles. You don't want to skimp on how many are in each jar. Smells like dill pickles in here right now. You want to really cram them in there. Again, I like to just kind of lay them on its side if I'm doing spears, and really get them crammed in there. As full as it'll go. Then we'll go to the next one. These were small ones, so I just did them in half. These aren't technically pickling cucumbers, but they grow really well, and if you harvest them when they're small like this, they make really excellent pickles. So, but generally speaking, you want to use the kind of cucumbers that are, have I been calling these pickles the whole time? These cucumbers are not necessarily pickling cucumbers. You want to use a cucumber that's made for pickling to get the best results, but these will work. And again, I'll put the name of this cucumber, that cucumber, on the screen, because for the life of me, my brain can't remember it right now. Silver slicer. They are silver slicers. So the silver slicers are slicing cucumbers, but they are really good for pickles as well. So, and honestly, you can pickle any of them, but if you really want the crispy ones, you want the ones that are made for it. So we're gonna do this. I might be able to get 1 or 2 more jars. That's exciting out of what we have so far. This was our first batch of cucumbers coming in off the garden. I'm excited for what's going to keep coming in. I did replant where my sweet peas were. I did, when those were done, I did take that space that had been for sweet peas, and I replanted pickling cucumbers there. So we'll have a fall batch of pickling cucumbers. So we're gonna make these cucumbers, and then we're gonna test them. We're gonna open a jar after about 3 weeks, and we're gonna see if we like it. And if we like this method, then we'll do our fall batch that way too. So I'm excited about that. I know I'm definitely gonna have 1 more jar's worth, maybe 2. So I will get this guy ready. Just put that dill in there. I am a dill pickle fan. I'm not a bread and butter or any other kinds. And I'm not a huge spice person, but every once in a while a little zest, a little extra. It's kind of a good thing. You can make these spicier if you want, but again, I'm just gonna go do the regular dill pickle situation. Okay, let's get this. I love the flavor of homegrown pickles, but I want that crunch. And you can do fridge pickles, like a quick pickle that isn't processed, and those are really good, and they have that same crunch and that flavor of that store brand that we're trying to get here. But then it takes up all that room in your fridge, and especially during harvest time, fridge and freezer space, you know, it's hard to come by. So I like the idea of having like a perfect fit. Look at that, a perfect amount. I like the idea of having something shelf stable and crunchy. So I'm excited. Fingers crossed this recipe works out. I will let you guys know. Okay, so now we're going to be waiting. We have our pickles ready. They're almost pickles. Our cucumbers jarred up and ready. You know what? I think I'm going to add a bay leaf in each of these two. That sometimes will help. It's one of the things people do to help keep things crunchy. Grape leaves, bay leaves, the tannins or something, tea leaves, you know, all that stuff. So got a few left. It's not gonna impart a lot of flavor. It's just gonna help with the crunch. And we're gonna try all the tricks. Okay, a little bit left over, might as well. Okay, so I'm gonna add just a dash of that. You could add like peppercorns too. Again, I just looked at the bottom of the jar that brand has, the Clausen brand has, and I'm trying to duplicate that. So, okay, we're gonna wait for our water to heat up, and then I'll show you the next step. Over here we've got our brine going. As soon as that is boiling, we're gonna pour it right over our cucumbers, seal them up, and then we're going to put them into here. And when this reaches 140, we're gonna put it into here, and then we're going to bring the jars and this pot up to 180. And let it go for 30 minutes. We're gonna set the timer for 30 minutes at 180 to 185. Okay, we're actually at 145 on the boiling water, and we are at boiling on the brine. So I'm gonna bring it over here. We're gonna get this thing ready to go and get our jars into the water. And I know this looks like a lot of brine, but the brine will keep in the fridge, so you can just keep using it, which is kind of amazing. So go ahead and make a batch, make a whole batch, and then be able to keep it. Pro tip, don't stand over the boiling vinegar. Doesn't feel awesome in your sinuses. So we're gonna fill these up, and again, we're gonna leave 1/2 inch of head space, which seems to be the head space of the day. We're still gonna debubble. Get my vinegar. We are still going to wipe down these rims every time. Every time. I've got my screen door open, so if you can hear the birds and the chickens and the cicada thingy. Sounds of summer. Okay, put these on finger tight. Put this brine back in here. Put our new canning lids and rings. Well, the rings aren't new, but the lids are. Then we are at 153, which is more than we wanted. Let's hope these jars do not break. The big risk of them breaking is if you go cold to hot. Usually warm to hot is okay, but this is a little hotter than I wanted it. A little hotter than I wanted it to be when I set the jars in there, so we'll go with it slowly. Last one. Definitely need to take some water out of there. It is all the way full to the top. Now, we will turn up the heat on this. It's at 154 right now. And we need it to get to between 180 and 185. And then we're gonna play around with our flame. So it's a gas stove. We're gonna play around with our flame and we're gonna get it to stay right between 180 and 185, and we're going to set our timer for 30 minutes. If it drops down below 180 to 185, then you have to start the process all over again, and the whole point is you don't want to overcook these cucumbers to make them soggy. You want to do the minimum amount of time to get them safely pasteurized and safe to eat, but you don't want them to get overcooked and soggy. So we're going to be watching for that 180 to 185, and we're going to stay real close to this to make sure that we don't have to start back over again on our timer. So once this gets up to 180, I do need to stay in the room to make sure that it doesn't drop below 180 and then it doesn't go above 185. So I decided to take this time to clean up all of the stuff that we used to make our pickles and all of the stuff that we used to can our cherries. And then while I was in the kitchen, I was like, you know what? I should probably take a few minutes and dice up these peppers that we have here. So I had harvested a big old bowl of spicy peppers, like some jalapenos and some Anaheims. And so I decided to, after I cleaned everything, I was like, you know what, I've got the time. I already washed these. Let me just take a minute, and I can be right next to the stove, and I can keep turning around and keep an eye on it, which I did. You'll see me from time to time keep messing with the temperature, but I went ahead and took the time to dice up these peppers. So when I get my peppers in from the harvest, what I do is I wash them, and then I dice them up super, super, super small, like you would use them in salsa or any recipes that would call for them to be diced really finely. So what I have found is that peppers freeze really well. You don't have to blanch them, you don't have to do anything, and when you're going to be using them in pico or salsa or chili or something like that, you can just take them frozen from the bag, put them right in, and they work perfectly. If I was going to long-term store these, I would definitely vacuum pack them, and that's normally what I do for the long-term solution. But since I know that I'm going to be making salsa in the next few weeks and months, I decided to just take the time and just take this opportunity to put on some gloves so that I don't get damaged fingers from sore fingers from touching the heat, and just go ahead and knock out all of them at once. and get them put into a little freezer bag so that as I'm ready to make salsa over the next week or two, I have everything I need already ready to go. This is also what I do with onions, honestly, so that they're in my freezer ready to go too. But on this day, I just went ahead and, like I said, I had to be there for 30 minutes to make sure that everything went well. So I just went ahead and took the time, put on the gloves, diced up the peppers, was able to turn around after every pepper or two and go ahead and check the temperature, make sure we were still good to go, which made it fairly easy to knock out a whole bunch of stuff in the kitchen at the same time as getting these preservation projects done. So if I'm going to be in there, might as well make use of the time. We have less than 1 minute left. Today, my friends, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14 jars of cherries. 14 jars of shelf-stable cherries that I can just pull out as a dessert or mix up some muffins or pour it over ice cream or anything, really. We love that. And we have what I'm hoping is our new favorite way to process and make crunchy dill pickles. I'm excited. I don't know how I'm going to be able to wait 2 weeks to try them. You guys, that looks so good. It looks so good. I'm excited. Thanks for spending so much time with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope that I encourage you to try something new. If you're afraid of canning, dip a toe into water bath. We're gonna pressure can together, don't you worry, but dip your toe into the water bath canning, because having all this homegrown or locally sourced or organically grown food, shelf stable, not paying grocery store prices, that's kind of what I'm all about. So hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks for watching again with me. Thanks for spending today with me. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment below and let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. can't wait to hear from you guys. See you next time. Look how pretty. We did that together, friends. Can't wait to do more.